Namaste everyone and welcome to part 2. There's going to be many parts of As Above So Below. It's very deep, it's ongoing. But part 2 for now. So in part 1 I described to you my first very tangible As Above So Below moment and the revelation that it brought for me. So I wanted just to take it a little bit further. When Jesus was born, he was born in Bethlehem, some wise men came. In fact, it was the wise men that alerted everyone to the birth of the Christ child. We read that in Matthew. After Jesus had been born at Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod, some wise men came to Jerusalem from the east. There's so much in here. What we need to remember is the teachings in the scriptures. There are what we call surface teaching. These are the parables. This is when you go and sit in the church and they tell you the nice stories. Okay, that's great. But you have to realize that what Yeshua gave to Mary Magdalene and to all the other disciples was the esoteric teachings. You see, he called them the fishermen. They were given fish. Everyone else was given bread. The feeding of the 5,000. You see, the bread for everybody. The fish for the disciples. You see, the esoteric teachings. And through the videos for the readings in November, we'll talk more about it, because N for November, none, fish, esoteric teaching. So this is a time when you can understand strongly the esoteric teachings. So there's many layers to everything. Are you feeding on the bread, or are you a disciple? Because if you're a disciple, you get the fish. All right. So they came from the east. That in itself is cool. I mean, as you sit there, it's going to look different because I'm opposite to you sat there. So this is your left-hand side, mine, and this is my right-hand side. Okay, so if we took compass points, we would go, okay, so if we're looking at a map or looking at a compass, on your left would be west, and on your right would be east. Do you know how I remembered it? When I had to learn geography. West, W-E, east. Okay, so from the east. Okay, so it's the right-hand side of your head. But anyway, we'll keep it on the surface. And they said, "Where is the infant, King of the Jews?" they asked. "We saw his star as it rose and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was perturbed, and so was the whole of Jerusalem. He called together all the chief priests and the scribes of the people and inquired of them where the Christ was born. And obviously terrible things happened. Slaughter of infant children. When a society gets to a place where they're slaughtering innocent children, you must know God is about to take visible action, and we are there as a society. Okay, so the Romanized version. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him." And Herod kicked off, because obviously that's a direct threat to his power. So, the heralding, the announcement of the birth of the Christ child was observed in the sky. And that is how the world, or it was announced to the world that the Christ child had been born. If we have to draw a diagram of as above, so below, what that means is what is happening above has a direct effect on what is happening below. I will give you an example. The sun. The sun gives everything life and everything light. Now, there is weather on the sun. On the sun, there are storms, and there are what we could equate to volcanoes and things like that. So the sun, our sun, spews out energy in the form of coronal mass ejections. The holes develop, and it spews forth energy. Besides giving light, it spews forth energy. Sometimes the energy, the northern lights. The northern lights only happen because of energy and light. And this energy coming from the sun and certain things combine, and we see all of this light. We call them the northern lights. Fantastic. Wow. Magical. All happening because of the sun, if there's solar storms. And we monitor it. I mean, there is a very serious issue, because if there's a lot of activity on the sun, it can knock out the satellites. So they monitor the activity on the sun. I mean, there are websites you can go on and keep a very, very firm eye on these things. That's just the sun. Besides it shining, anything that happens on the sun affects us. So basically the sun, let's say the sun spews out coronal mass ejection. Solar wind. If it's really strong, it can knock satellites out. We know this. This is not rocket science. But it's like if you dropped a big boulder in a still pond, that ripples. Well, energy is energy. It's going to ripple. So, of course, that energy comes onto the earth and boom, it hits your body. It hits you. It hits you. If you're dense, then it hits you badly. I mean, you can take a severe knock. Does it mean you fall over? No. I do sometimes, but, yeah. That's not because I'm dense. Because I'm not digging when I'm supposed to be digging. You need to be grounded when that kind of thing happens, otherwise it makes you feel a bit lightheaded. But anyway, that is the energy needed for transformation, just by the who. So whatever's happening out there, whatever's happening with the energy of the planets, each planet is sending energy, it's all working on one another. That energy is affecting us, it's affecting our psyche basically, and it's forcing us to acknowledge, examine, and take action. Basically, it's the mechanism to make sure our Father's will is always conducted. We might think that we've been let loose running on this earth to do what we want on this Eden. No. Anyway, so the three-dimensional flat image of what as above, so below looks like is that. Some people might understand it as the Star of David. Yeah, words that confound and concepts that confound and confuse. As above, so below. Pretty simple. But as above, so below is not a mechanism on its own. It's actually as above, so below, as within, so without. Which is basically taking that to 3 dimensions. What's coming in, what's going out, okay? What's happening above is affecting below. On another level, what's going on in your head, your above, your heaven on earth, your thoughts, then your words, then your actions. What's going on here is going to have a direct effect to what's happening in your 3-dimensional day-to-day existence. As above, so below. Looks like that on a flat scale. As above, so below. As within, so without. We just have to take that and turn it into 3 dimensions. Not the best, but I have a little object that maybe will help. It's really hard to take something that's multi-dimensional and make it flat. Okay, so that's sort of, you get the idea. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so this broke, so it's broken. So I'm going to hold it in a way that you can more or less. So this is a 3-dimensional version of that. Okay, I dropped this. This is quartz crystal. So if ever you drop crystals and they break, take all the broken bits and stick them in your pot plants. But anyway, I'm not going to throw it away because I love it. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so this is a 3-dimensional version of that. Okay, I dropped this. This is quartz crystal. So if ever you drop crystals and they break, take all the broken bits and stick them in your pot plants. But anyway, I'm not going to throw it away because I love it. So there you go. As above, so below. As within, so without. Whatever's happening out there is going to affect your mind. And then you're going to take a course of action. You're going to go left or you're going to go right. You're going to take the lower road, you're going to take the higher road. You're going to take the fear-based response, or you're going to take the faith-based response, and you're going to bring your life. Everything is designed. Everything is designed to make sure that God's will be done on this earth. Okay, so maybe when we start our life, the best thing would be to do what Jesus did, or what happened with Yeshua, and take a snapshot. What was going on? What was the measure given to you? Now, when I was born, there was a Star of David in the sky. Now, let's not get excited. It happens. It's not perfect. It's a bit missing. I say it's a bit missing. Nothing's missing. It doesn't line up completely. So it's there, except on the one axis, it's not quite. I call it the bit that's missing, but I know exactly the bit that's missing. The bit that's missing is, for me personally, is black, virgin earth. Okay. But these Star of David formations occur, not exact. They are very, very rare. Okay, very rare. There was one that was present on the day I was born, on my astrology. Not exact, a bit missing. But there was one. So it is no surprise that my whole life I have been drawn to this image, this. I didn't know at the time. I remember when I was very young, so this is maybe 5, 6 years old, going to church. I was young, so at that stage I was allowed to sleep on the pews. And the Pentecostal church we went to, we didn't have our own church building, but we used to rent what used to be a Jewish synagogue or Jewish temple. It wasn't really a temple, it was a building. So let's call it a synagogue as opposed to a temple. The Jewish people weren't worshipping there anymore, so it was vacant. So our church, Pentecostal, we rented this church. So I remember spending many, many hours as a young girl lying on the pews, looking up at the ceiling, and lo and behold, the lights that they had were wooden Stars of David with recessed. So it was a suspended Star of David made of wood, and then recessed into this wood were lights. And there were several that went up on each side of this hall. And I remember spending many hours looking at these lights and the shape of this, and how whoever had made them had dovetailed. Obviously I didn't know that word then, but how they had managed to join these pieces that made this very beautiful star. I didn't know what it was then. And then had all the recessed lightings. I used to count how many lights were there. I used to stare at this for ages. As I got older, you know, obviously I connected the star with the Star of David and Israel and stuff like that. But it's so much more than that. It's the as above, so below. This is your geometry. This is all of our sacred geometry, three-dimensionally. It's all of our sacred geometry. I'll use this one. That's your geometry. You are in that. You are that creative force in there. God's will. He tells you. In there. You speak, you take that action. What God wants for you will be made manifest on the earth. As above, so below, as within, so without. But if you're in crazy land and you've chosen the left hand, the same mechanism is working for you. If you got chaos, okay, because remember, God's plan is for you to be the I am that you are, that He designed you to be and intended for you to be, not who you think you are. Okay? Because before you made any earthly contract, you made a contract with God. And that contract was impressed upon your heart, upon your spirit. Now you can have recontracted yourself elsewhere. But that is no reason. There is no possible reason why you cannot re-engage with the original contract impressed upon your soul, impressed upon your spirit, the truth of who you are. Not who you think you are. But you have to get into that energy, as above, so below, as within, so without. You become that channel. Make me a channel of your peace. Everything's designed out there. That energy affects you. Nowhere to hide. And it's designed to bring you to the full understanding of who you are. These are the spiritual mechanisms in place. We're starting with this one. Thank you, Father. Do you really think He would have let us loose on this Eden? We think we're controlling things? No. No, brothers and sisters. We aren't controlling anything. We just think we are. There you go. Okay. Thank you for watching. There'll be many parts to As Above, So Below. And everything sort of merges. So in this time, ask yourself, who am I? It's the most fundamental question we're going to ask ourselves in the next few weeks. Who am I? Am I my father's daughter or my father's son? Or am I contracting to some fake, plastic, temporal, unfulfilling, dying system? Heaven on earth is our legacy. But unless we start to operate in divine flow, we're going to be sort of swimming upstream. Only certain fish are designed to swim upstream, guys. Thank you for watching. Father, bless them. Bless them all. Namaste.